So in this one, we're going to be ranking the most expensive transfer that every Premier League team has brought into their club at the time of recording. 1.63 billion has been spent. Just over 1 billion of that has come from the traditional Big Six. So, as I say, we're going to work our way through. The tiers are as follows. We're having a bit of fun with it. And as I say, we're in a rusty position right now. So if you hate these, bleep this for me, Finn, go yourself. Okay? It's just a bit of fun. Season defining is the top tier. I like it. You have to say it like that. I don't know if you've got that in you.
I like it.
Good. I'm a bit more than that. Okay. Good, but is he good? Of course. The next tier. And not for me. Another staple. So let's get straight into it. Is there a club that you'd like to go to, or do you want to go alphabetical?
I always think, let's respect the alphabet.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's kick off with Arsenal then. Victor Gyökeres has come through, and 64 million. It took a minute. And first question is, do you think the Arsenal hierarchy are a little bit like peeved at the fact that maybe Isak was actually available after all of this? Like I sort of chucked it out there when Isak kind of said that he wanted to explore a move, and people were like, why are you bringing up Arsenal? And I was like, well, but Arsenal were definitely interested, like everyone was interested in him. And if they had known that he was very possibly available, then I think even if this was 2 weeks ago, I wonder, right? How do you think the higher-ups are feeling? Or do you think they are just happy and settled with the fact that Gyökeres is here?
Well, I think there's obviously a few key advantages why Liverpool were able to get ahead on this, or have now got ahead on this. And that's primarily because they didn't spend any money last year, really, in real terms. Whereas Arsenal, because they've been chasing and chasing and chasing, there's been an accumulation of improving the squad and improving the first team for a number of years. And, this first team is now littered with players that cost at least £50 million.
Yeah.
Sometimes even more. And whereas Liverpool have already reached the summit, and they are now offloading their squad players that they don't need anymore for vast sums as well. We haven't seen the final fee for Darwin Núñez, but Luis Diaz and Harvey Elliott, etc., which gives them a little bit more leeway. But yeah, I think if it came down to it, Arsenal would have wanted Alexander Isak to say at the start of the summer, I'm not playing for Newcastle again. But you don't know what came into it. You don't know the conversations behind the scenes.
Yeah. And he's not gone yet.
And they wanted to strengthen and bring in Zubimendi, which was already talked about last summer. It felt like it was almost definitely going to go through. And then there was that week or so where it looked a bit unlikely. They wanted to strengthen in a wing department as well. They brought in Madueke. I'm sure we'll talk about that in due course. And it looks like they want Eze too. Would they be able to bring in all these players and Alexander Isak without selling a key star? Probably not. So I think maybe they just never had the opportunity. In terms of Gyökeres, there's almost, I said this on the lowdown a couple of weeks ago, I don't think there's been a signing that's created so much interest and almost pressure before he's even kicked a ball.
Yeah.
Because it has been so long talked about for so long. And the entirety of last season, it was Arsenal need to sign a striker. We get into January. Everyone talked about that for 30 days. Then it gets to April, May. Arsenal need to sign a striker. Šeško or Gyökeres. Oh, Arteta wants Šeško. The club want Gyökeres. This went on and on and on. But the good thing about Gyökeres is he doesn't seem to really care about outside noise. He just has this relentless will and desire to score goals and affect games. And I like the fact that he's got experience of English football. I like the fact that he's in his prime right now. I had some concerns about Benjamin Šeško just because of the pressure that comes with being Arsenal's number 9 over the next few years.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because it's like there's so many things in life that my dad says this to me, and I really believe in it, is that however you picture something, this like moment of this or that or whatever it might be, it's never what you think it is. And I think Arsenal fans would have gone, one day we're going to sign a striker and everything's going to be like rosy. And I think, again, this has been quite stumbled. So from that point of view, that's disappointing. There's nothing that Gyökeres can do when it comes to that, apart from, score goals when he gets there. I think he's very durable as a striker, like you say, both mentally and physically. And I think that's good. And when when you have a little break and then you kind of come back to sort of looking at and sorting up about all these teams and all the transfers and all the players and how you feel like it's going to kind of sit, the thing that's on my mind a bit is in possession, out of possession, and in transition. And for Arsenal, that sort of change of tempo, that in transition element of the game, is something that they had to improve to be able to inject pace into this team and unpredictability in some way, especially under Arteta, who isn't really sort of like that. And I feel like Gyökeres does provide that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be just fine. The other thing that's been floating in my mind a bit is that, like, we all get so excited about all these transfers. Do any of this is such a bit of a killjoy here at the start of the whole of the pods, but does anyone ever really go into the stratosphere? Like, how many players have really, really go into the stratosphere? So with him, if he, like you say, if he gets 18 goals, or if he can get himself like 15 in the Premier League, and he's sort of, allowed him to sort of get over the line a few times, like, that's the more realistic like situation here, as opposed to him doing like Haaland numbers, or there's this expectation that there might be these Haaland numbers. So it's a hard one to kick off with, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I totally see what you mean. I don't think it will take a lot. And Arsenal probably will be better next year, just on the basis that they'll have more players fit, and there probably won't be such a catastrophic loss of form from Odegaard, who is kind of the heartbeat of that side. If Saka's the cutting edge, he's kind of the heartbeat in the metronome. But their goals scored last year was 69. It dropped from 91, which is only 5 more than Spurs, who finished 17th. And Spurs were a very free-scoring side. It's a bit of a freak that they ended up in 17th. Yeah. But still, I don't think Gyökeres will have to become this freak to get Arsenal much, much closer to the title. Yeah. Like, no one scored 10 league goals for Arsenal last season. No one, which is kind of crazy. You know, Havertz was their top scorer on 9, Martinelli and then Trossard on 8. If Gyökeres gets 15 plus and Saka is fit for the entire season, gets close to 15 once again, Odegaard gets close to 10, suddenly you're looking at a side that can score 90 goals in a season and get 85 plus points. And they are in tighter contention. I think Arsenal's transfer business has gone really under the radar this year. I think it's superb. And they've strengthened the squad as well. I think Kepa's a better backup than Neto. I think Norgard's an excellent backup in central midfield. The only one I have some question marks on is Madueke. But again, I think that's one you judge at the end of the window when you see whether they've landed Eze, whether you see whether maybe Rodrigo is available. But even so, Madueke is ready to perform in the Premier League, can play in a variety of positions. And as we were talking about yesterday as well, as you pointed out, has that kind of will to succeed. And there's something about being sold by Chelsea that and you're going to a side that finished higher and have played better than Chelsea over the last few years, you're pretty determined to stick 2 fingers up to them as well. Yeah,
for sure. And I just think they're so close, Arsenal. So when you are so close, it just needs tipping over more than anything else. I've got it on. So I like it all season defining for me. I mean,
it'll be season defining kind of.
If they get it done.
Either way, if that makes sense. Like, it will define their season whether it goes well or badly, but I get what you mean. Right. Season defining, you want it to be as positive as possible. At the moment, I'm going with, I like it.
Good, well said. Right. Next up. This will be a bit quicker, and this is nothing against Aston Villa. Yasin Ozcan. 7 million, signed on a pre-contract agreement in February. I was trying to look at some of his stuff, and the quality of the footage wasn't great, which I think does say a lot. For him to sort of jump up, he has got a cap for Turkey, so that's obviously good. But I just think that left back position is like stacked. So I don't think there's much to discuss with him because you've got Maatsen, you've got Luka Dean. He's just not going to play.
Well, he can also play as a left-sided centre-back as well. Yeah. You've got Mings and you've got Pau Torres. It's one for the future, isn't it, really?
Exactly.
And I think Villa fans, I put this out yesterday. I wasn't trying to stir the pot. A few came back angry, but most were just I was genuinely interested to hear how Villa fans were feeling, because obviously Rashford and Asensio weren't signed. They haven't really made a major starting signing, let's say. And they do look weak in a few areas as well. I'm sure they'll do some business, but it does seem quite determined on whether Ollie Watkins leaves or whether Emi Martinez leaves. If Ollie Watkins leaves, I'm quite concerned about this squad and where the goals are coming from. They just feel very, very short, having lost John Duran in January as well. But good luck to Ozcan. I don't think we'll see that much of him next season.
I agree. It's a for me.
Yeah. I think, or maybe even good, but is he good? He looks good in Turkey.
If you're being super kind, yeah. I think, look, with Villa, don't worry, we're going to talk about Villa. We're doing another podcast, having a look at everyone's attack and I think we can go into a bit more detail on Aston Villa when we get to that. There's just lots of teams to get through, and that's not an outrageously inspiring, with the greatest amount of respect ever, signing for Aston Villa. Bournemouth, Mr. Petrovic, who I sort of was in the middle of the night shifts, and I thought he'd gone to Sunderland. And then I return. I come up for air, and he's gone to Bournemouth. Great signing for them, I think. I've always been sort of broadly impressed with him, as much as I know about goalkeepers. Yeah, I think this is a great one. 25 million. I guess the only thing you would say is there sell-on value? He becomes the 12th most expensive goalkeeper of all time. Missed out on the top 10 behind Neuer when he moved for Schalke. It's for 28 mil. And Trafford as well. So that's the only reason why he's not in that top 10. So for Bournemouth as a team that as a club that understandably buy kind of potential and then can sell that off, and that's a lovely thing that a lot of teams should be doing outside of, well, everyone should be doing broadly if they can. Are you buying someone for too much here?
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, they've brought in so much money with Huijsen and Kerkers, and they obviously didn't sign Kepa permanently, and Zabani looks like he's leaving as well. I mean, Bournemouth, Antonio Raiola, with a month to go, has a bit of a job on his hands to rebuild that defence, but I think Petrovic is a really good pillar to start that building off.
Great point.
I actually think at the moment, as it stands, in terms of Jorgensen, Robert Sanchez or Petrovic, I think he's Chelsea's best goalkeeper. Now they've sold him to Bournemouth. I was desperate for him at Sunderland, but understandably he's chosen Bournemouth, a much more solid bet of a long-term Premier League future. We also missed out on Marcin Bolka, but this isn't about Sunderland. I do think it's an upgrade in that area. He's got more long-term future than Kepa, but I just think Bournemouth have so much work to do at centre-back, and I wonder whether they could look at someone like Alexandro Ribeiro, who I was doing a bit of research about this morning, from Lille. He's 6'2", he's 25 years old. He feels like the sort of signing that Bournemouth would go for. Very two-footed, has played in Ligue 1 for Lille for a number of years now as a starter, and is an absolutely brilliant passer from the back as well. Because I was looking into Dean Howson's numbers last year, and his defending is great, but actually what he brings on the ball when he carries the ball out of play, and he actually created the same amount of chances as Omar Marmoush.
And you saw it. At the Club World Cup, you saw it.
Yeah.
Like, he is so... I know there was the meme, like, he's a chill guy. Like, he is so relaxed on the ball.
Brilliant. And then Zabania, I think, is a huge loss as well. I think he's was underrated last year, how solid he was.
It's sort of Gabrielitis, wasn't it?
Exactly.
In Saliba, everyone's like, well, Gabriel must be average then. But it's not. It's just a kind of slightly less beautiful than Saliba.
I agree. So they've got work to do, but I do like the start with Petrovic.
Okay, so I like it, says Doogie.
I do.
I'm just because, a question for the comments, which we have on Spotify, we have absolutely everywhere. How much are you ever going to get back from this guy if you sell him? Now, I would say he's 25, so you could have him for 3 years and still sell him for a decent amount of money. But when it comes to goalkeepers, do you ever sell a goalkeeper for much? That's my only question.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the fee that Milan wanted for Mike Maignan, and it was only about £20 million. And I know he's had a difficult last 18 months, but he's still, I think, one of the top 5, one of the top 10 goalkeepers in the world. So, yeah, they probably won't get a
What's the
return on
most
investment.
you'd pay for a goalie?
Well, it depends who it was. Like Alisson Becker, I think was very expensive, but like an amazing investment.
Kepa.
But you look at, Courtois went for, 35, 40 to Real Madrid, I think it was, and he's absolutely outstanding. I probably wouldn't go that much over 30, but then, how much are we spending on centre-backs now? How much are we spending on every position? So I think it is different to 5-10 years ago.
I don't know. I'll leave him in, I like it. But for me, I get he's a great goalkeeper, and maybe with Raiola you need that great goalkeeper, but I just think that feels like a lot of money for a goalkeeper. Just putting it out there. Anthony Malambo. 17.3 million to Brentford. He was the youngest ever debutant for Feyenoord in their history. He has Damsgaard-esque qualities from what I've seen from him. Do you know much about Malambo?
Well, I know that last year was very much his breakout year. I think he'd only played 18 professional games before last year. But Brentford would have known that there's a possibility that they would have players. But moving on, they always feel one step ahead in the transfer market. I just feel kind of pretty sorry for anyone who arrives at Brentford this summer. And look, I'm sure they were told maybe Johan Visser's going, maybe Brian Mbeumo's going, etc. Frank is obviously leaving. But the mood around that club must be really interesting right now. Like, they've punched above their weight for so long, and now they've had such a big drop-off in player quality in the same summer, if Johan Vissa leaves as well, that someone's going to have to step up and kind of carry this team. And for a very, very young 20-year-old to arrive from the Dutch league with 1 year of top-level experience to come in and be expected to kind of carry this team forward in midfield, I think could be a big ask. And that's all. I haven't even mentioned Christian Norgard. In many ways, he feels like the most crucial one to that entire system as well.
Absolutely. I think the thing here that he's a really good player from what I've seen there. I really like the way that he drives with the ball, very comfortable in doing that. And when I was watching him, he felt very complete in the sense that he could pick up the ball from deep and drive with the ball. He could be in those pockets and do stuff there as well, which is why I kind of put the Damsgaard comparison out there. In terms of that whole, the bigger question here, which I can't give you the answer just now, is that what is that midfield and what is Keith Andrews looking to do with that midfield, and how different will it be from the Brentford we know? Because Janelt, Jensen, Norgard, the players that they've had in there, he's got a little bit of everyone, maybe a slight bit less of Norgard, but yeah, which one is he going to be, or is it more likely he's not going to be any of them? And that opens up a whole another can of worms that we can talk about later down the line. But I think he's good, but is it too much for him this season? You know, you think of, say, Carvalho's come in or Keen-Los Potter's come in, a lot of those Damsgaards come in, and it's taken them a minute. Like, is that a Frank thing, or is it a Brentford thing?
I think it's a Brentford thing that they're trying to buy for 2 years' time. They're trying to make sure that their succession line is really strong. So for Malambo to be expected to come in and make a massive difference at Premier League level next year, I think is a big ask. But the good thing about, people have really criticised the Keith Andrews appointment. And look, I was pretty confused as well. I probably wouldn't have gone for him myself. But he was at the club last year. He was the set-piece coach. Like, he does know the players. Yeah. They've done
it before.
Yeah, the hierarchy must have seen that he got along well with the players. The players must have given some sort of recommendation, or at least said, they didn't say we don't want him. So in terms of Malambo, right now I'm kind of going,
Okay, nice. I'm okay with Murray's good, but is he good? 17.3 million, 20 years old. I think it's overall, I'm close to I like it, if I'm honest. Brighton, Karalampos Kostoulas, £31.4 million for this guy, who's a bit of a Thomas Muller regen. Can he be as good as him? Who knows? A really, really interesting one for them to go and get him from Olympiacos, and because they bought Simas in January, didn't they? Who we've not seen too much of, but I think he's very highly rated from what I've read and heard in my Greek circle. 12 goals for Olympiacos last season in all competitions. What I liked about him, he loved a duel. He felt very Thomas Muller in the sense of like kind of output and he seemed to have purpose whenever he had the ball. And I quite like that about him. 31.4 million feels like a lot. But you always back Brighton, don't you?
You do. I mean, you say it feels like a lot. It's more than double the Greek Super League record for a sale.
Wow.
Which was Daniel Podence when he went to Wolves. And I think it was 16 million. So
who did okay.
But this guy does feel like he's in a kind of different stratosphere to Podence from what I've seen of him. I was actually I put him in my 10 wonder kids that I think will explode this season on my new YouTube channel.
They always explode, don't they?
They always explode, yeah. There was some snarky comments being like, what do you mean by explode? Anyway, Kostoulas looks really, really bright. So the season before last, he was playing in the UEFA Youth League, and Olympiacos beat Inter Milan, they beat Milan, they beat Bayern, and they won the entire thing.
And he was one of the main guys.
And he was one of the main guys. Then at the start of last season, he was with the under-19s again, I think. He scored 5 goals in 2 games. They were like, no, this guy's got to go to the senior squad.
Right.
And look, I've only done a few YouTube watches.
Sure.
I've talked to this guy called Stephen Contranu, I think he's called, on Twitter a bit. He's a big Olympiacos fan. And they all say he's really pretty special. And from the highlights you watch of him, like, he doesn't look his age. He's really physically developed. He can drop deep. His long-range passing looks good. He looks excellent in the air as well. It looks like Brighton have signed another gem. And I think the fact that they were willing to spend this much on him this early suggests that they know that in a couple of years' time, we're looking at a £50 million player.
Yeah, Yes, really good point. I'm fascinated because the thing as well, people go 12 goals, like, is that enough, or 2 assists? He kind of played he's not your normal out and out striker. That's why I'm bringing the Muller thing in. And I'm interested to see, is he like the heir to Welbeck? Like, I wonder if that, and obviously will be slightly different to him because he's probably got a different kind of energy. Whereas Welbeck's a bit more put together and neat. But yeah, like I'm sort of scared to say I like it. I think it's got to be as good, but is he good, isn't he? Because in terms of the jump up,
it's a big step. And he's only played 35 professional games. So it's nearly a £1 million per professional game played, which is kind of crazy. I'm going to say I like it.
Okay. We're going to go with yours, I think. Overall.
But we can do whatever.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Brighton's business. I think it's gone really under the radar.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I think De Kuyper's a really good addition at left back. They've signed Boscagli, who's one of the best passers in the Eredivisie last year. Feels like a really good Lewis Dunk replacement. People that have watched Coppola more than I have in Serie A are very bright about him as well. And they've got players coming back from injury that missed a lot of last year, like Kadioglu and Matt O'Reilly. Well, yeah. I think their squad could be really good.
Burnley. Laum Chauner. 13 million. 21-year-old left-footed French winger played at the under-21 Euros for France. Was doing well to get in a France squad. Losing in the semi-finals 3-0 against Germany. Played 37 times for Lazio last season. Scoring 2 goals, provided 1 assist, and totaled 1,364 minutes. Only 6 league starts. I think he will battle it out with a few of the attacking players. How much do you know about this lad? I was kind of watching him, and he felt very left-footed from what I was watching, and he didn't outrageously stand out, if I'm honest. Is that mean?
I don't think it is particularly. I mean, he's contributed for Lazio in the last few years, but they do have some quality wingers there. You know, Sagagni and Pedro's still going at his age, but he's not had...
Only 6 starts.
Yeah, he's not had a kind of season where you're like, wow, you're kind of Lazio's main man now. And I think it's a fairly sizable fee for his level of experience. I think, if I'm being brutally honest, I think Burnley just kind of feel like nailed on for 20th, if I'm totally honest.
Really?
I'm sorry to say it. I just think James Trafford's a big departure as well. They've missed out on a few targets. I can't really see any higher than 20th. And I think Scott Parker's generally, his record in the Premier League versus in the Championship is really pretty different.
That narrative will arrive pretty quick, I would imagine. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I guess it depends on...
Someone has to be 20th as well.
Yeah, and I think it depends on how those guys that failed before, if they can come back and impress. I think that's a big thing here. So for you, you're saying...
I'm saying, Maybe even
Maybe
not
for
me.
me.
We need one.
Yeah, you do need one. That feels cruel. Yeah.
Sorry.
I think, do you know what, when you're one of those promoted teams, you want players that you go, just to get that excitement going, that belief more crucially going. I'm not sure he does that. I'm not sure he moves the needle. So sadly, not for me. As well, I agree with you. Chelsea, João Pedro, 60 million squids. 23, has already scored some goals, some crucial goals for them in terms of winning the Club World Cup. Got 10 goals, 6 assists from 27 Premier League appearances last season. Yeah, how do we feel? Like, I mean, we're going to talk about the attack, as we said. But what about him? Like, do you like him there? Do you think 60 million's about right for a 23-year-old like João Pedro with the experience he's got?
I think so. I think the fact he can play in a couple of different positions, the way he played in the Europa League the year before last, where I think he scored 10 goals in that competition, had some big games in the group stage where they were with, I think, Marseille and Ajax as well. I like João Pedro. I think he's got a lot of character. I think he's very technically gifted. He can pull players out of position. Do I think you win a Premier League, which is, I suppose, what Chelsea are aiming for in the next few years? Yes, that was my next question. With João Pedro, Delap and Nicholas Jackson, if he's still there, I'm not sure you do in 2025 when you're competing against Liverpool, when you're competing against City with Haaland, when you're competing against Arsenal with the range of attacking weapons they've got. So whilst I think they've upgraded an attack this year in their striking department, definitely from Jackson and Nkunku, I don't think they've actually done enough to get into title contention. I would be surprised if I'd like to see them get over 80 points. I think that would be a good sign and go on a Champions League run, maybe pick up another trophy. But I just don't think this squad is quite title ready.
I agree with you. I think and this is a cop out sometimes, but I feel like maybe not this season, but next season, I think there could be a bit of a flirt up with Chelsea, kind of looking like they might actually kind of do something. I think the thing with João Pedro, which is kind of to his benefit in terms of being great for them, is I think with teams often it's like all roads lead to a certain player in any team. Arsenal it's Saka, Liverpool it's Salah, Man City it was always kind of De Bruyne really. But with Chelsea it's Palmer. And so some teams it's that winger who's going to go and get the goal, and then sometimes it's that creator who's then going to put it on a plate for someone or score himself. And I feel like with Chelsea that then suits someone like João Pedro because it won't be the same amount of pressure on him. And you've seen from his finishing already, he has got that finesse. Mm-hmm. So I think he'll do really, really well for them, actually. Season defining, if I'm really optimistic, yes.
As high as that? I was going to go, I like it. I was going to go, I like it. But
I think it's a fair amount of money,
defining.
right?
Yeah.
60 million, he is, he's worth that and capable of that. And you can kind of see the hunger there, but you've also got someone who's like ready to go, who's not sort of fearful. But let's go with I like it. That's fine. Okay. Crystal Palace. Borna Sosa. Just 3 mil at the moment. Palace are kind of sitting tight. There's a few teams sitting tight at the moment. 27-year-old left back. I remember being at a game in Qatar at the World Cup, and I remember watching the game, and as if you've ever had this, where you're watching a game and you're like, that guy keeps giving it away.
Oh, really? He's having a bit of a shocker.
Yeah, he had, on that day, I was like, and I remember going on an app and going, why is his, I want to see his rating.
Yeah.
Because I swear, every time he gets the ball, he's giving it away. And it was Sosa. So this doesn't inspire me, I'll be honest.
I think a few years ago, I was quite excited about Sosa and when he was at Stuttgart, but he's had a kind of forgettable last 18 months, 2 years or so. But then it is £3 million and you're looking at someone, if they are going to play that same system next year, which you'd expect, who's maybe got a little bit more in the final third than someone like Tyreek Mitchell, who I think is very solid defensively.
Yeah, got a good cross on him, hasn't he?
Yeah, so there's a nice balance there, but it's not... I don't think too many people will be putting him in their top 10 transfers of the summer.
Yeah, I don't see him exploding.
No, but it's perfectly solid for £3 million. I think Palace are in one of those positions, like a lot of Premier League clubs this year. The top has gone crazy. The bottom's almost gone crazy, almost out of sheer panic.
Yeah.
And a lot of the middle pack have, there's either clubs that have lost a lot of key talent, or there's clubs like Fulham, Palace, sort of Everton to some extent. Yeah. Well, they've actually lost a lot of players, Everton, but there's some clubs that have done very little. They let them go. Yeah. So it still feels like a massive next few weeks for someone like Crystal Palace, especially with the Eze situation.
Yeah, it feels like that they're sort of waiting to go up. Like it's like the wedding buffet's opened up, and like everyone's kind of raced, and there's a few of them just going. It's a fun, and I just There'll be something there. Yeah. So I mean, because of my previous experience with him, or good, but is he good? I think at 3 million, it's not really going to excite you or change anything, really. I'm getting close to not for me, I'll be honest.
Fair.
Okay, we've done it.
Let's do it.
Sorry. Prove me wrong. Go on. Mr. Barry at Everton. Is it Thierno? Thierno or Tierno?
I think it's Tierno.
It is Tierno. I thought I heard you say Thierno. Okay, my bad. I thought it was Tierno. Tierno Barry. There we go. I would do that again. Tierno Barry at Everton. 27 million. Here's a ripple for you. Everton's new stadium has massively affected their ability to lure players to the club. I don't know why I did that. Everton's new stadium will have a 52,888 capacity, making it bigger than St James's Park, Stamford Bridge, and nearly as big as Anfield. That must hurt a little bit. Why just make it bigger? That's what I would do. The new modern stadium is just one factor in this rebuild too. David Moyes largely taking the reins and looking to make the most of the Friedkin Group takeover. Everton are showing clear ambition in the market with some of the people that they're linked with and getting some talented youngsters as well. And Barry at 22 very much fits the mould of a game-breaking forward right now. So first of all, do you agree with the ripple? Do you think the stadium will make a difference?
Massive difference. It feels like Everton have a lot of work to do because they've got a very small squad right now.
Moyes said he needs 9, I think.
Yeah, and that is work to do. But the Friedkin Group are they're kind of experts of signing quantity of signings. Like I would say at Roma over the last few years, they've almost signed too many players at times.
Yeah.
But they've got a way of getting these.
Can
deals
anyone
over
be an
the
expert?
line.
I think anyone can be an expert at that. Do you know Tony Fernandez was a real expert at that back in the day?
They've signed some quality as well. Like last year, there was Sule and Dovbyk arrived and players like that, and Kone as well. But Everton feel like they're targeting younger, hungrier, with higher ceiling players, basically. You know, the Fayed Mashiri days where they would just panic, and it was basically Ed Woodward in Everton. And signed so much Deadwood and overpay for it as well. That feels like a thing of the past. Tieno Barry, the thing I like about him is his aerial prowess. It's one of the best in Europe.
6'5", isn't he?
Yeah, and amongst that age group as well. There was actually a Villarreal fan that was writing to me in my DMs yesterday for some reason about Tieno Barry. I don't really know why, but it was very nice of him. And he said his first touch was a little bit clumsy at times, which you probably expect for a 22-year-old with one serious season so far. But the signs were last year really, really promising. And typical, you know, when you get a club like Villarreal into the Champions League, because they did finish 5th and got that extra spot. You know, Alex Baena's now left for Atletico Madrid. Barry's left for Everton. It's kind of like a rebuild all over again.
Interesting. Yeah, 19 goals in 41 appearances last season. Has some like pace about him as well. And like, I mean, again, we're going to talk about the attacking options at Everton. But what I see here is that David Moyes will create a team that you'll go, it's just not a nice experience. And that is what he has made a career out of. You know, West Ham, it was, they had Antonio up there. Like Everton back in the first time round, it would just be like, just annoying. Annoying players that like happy to like, you know, bust up against centre-backs and have duels. And in Beto and Barry, you've got 2 there. 27 million for a 22-year-old who scored 19 goals the last season before. I like it.
I like it too. I'd even potentially put season defining. Like they've needed a striker for a while. I think there's a really, really high profile there. I go season defining.
I'm happy with that. I like it. And he's rapid as well. So they're going to play. I think Everton fans are going to really, really enjoy it. Like sometimes you kind of go into a new stadium and go, like it's not. This isn't like then.
Home,
yeah. I think they're just so gasping for it. They're going to love it. Okay, next up, Fulham. Big one here. Benjamin Lecomte. He's a good-looking lad. 433k, a 34-year-old goalkeeper.
It's just nothing to write home about, is it?
No.
Like, yeah, it's just.
I mean, and it is not. They are not. It's not on them to help me create content.
No,
you know that you do what's right for you, Fulham.
Yeah,
and it probably sort of says that look, you're in a good space.
And look, go and enjoy West London, Benjamin. You know, you've had a great career so far. This is a nice place to just calm down in the latter stages of your career. But I mean, how do we put it any higher than? Well, it doesn't even fit. Not for me. It's just like go do it, Benjamin.
Go do it, Benjamin. I'll put him in not for me because there's not another option. But yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, look, meh, isn't it? Leeds. Anton, I've heard Statch, I've heard Stack. Stack probably makes more sense, doesn't it?
Stack, yeah.
17.4 million pounds, 26-year-old, made 39 appearances for Hoffenheim in all competitions last season. Lots of minutes too. I was looking at too many clips of him yesterday as I sort of try and catch up with it all. And I really liked him. He feels like some people, this is going to alienate a lot of people. He reminds me of Bielik at Derby, who then I think went to Birmingham at some point. But at Derby, he was really, really good for them. And he was just this big thing in the centre of midfield, which kind of, it felt unfair, but also good on the ball as well at the same time. Like he eats up the ground, 6'4". The other person I wanted to kind of compare him to a little bit was... Or you'd hope that the impact would be this, is Palhinha for Fulham the year they went up and stayed up comfortably. That's what Leeds will be kind of hoping for. I like him a lot.
I think so too. I mean, you look at even the sort of clubs slightly lower down the table, you look at Sander Berge at Fulham, you look at Amadou Onana at Aston Villa now, you know, the Declan Rice, the Rodris, like this physicality in the middle of the park has been a trend in the Premier League for a while, in a way that it's not really in the same extent around the rest of Europe. I think the Premier League is just, most managers like to have at least one unit in their side. Yeah. And it feels like Daniel Farke has tried to really prioritise physicality.
He's gone for giants, isn't he?
He's gone for massive giants because Bijol's huge as well.
Yeah.
Bornau as well is he was really promising a few years ago at Wolfsburg. He's had some injury issues since. But that's really, really promising as well. I think Leeds have had a really, really good window. I would just want a little bit more of a guarantee of a goal scorer potentially at Premier League level. And it feels like they're moving on from Bamford. I think he's been told to leave the club or told he won't play. So maybe that is what they should be prioritising in the next 3 weeks of the window. But other than that, I still think they've got by far the best chance of any any newly promoted side to stay up.
Fascinating. Okay. I think this could be season defining too.
Yeah.
I do. I like him. Right, Liverpool. Here we go. Florian Wirtz, 116.5 million, 22 years old, 45 appearances last season, 16 goals, 15 assists. Can play all across the front line. The question is, should the team be built around Florian Wirtz, considering the team has been built around Mohamed Salah and has been quite successful?
Absolutely. You don't spend this amount of money on a player and sign a player that everyone in Europe would have wanted if they could sign without him being the central piece of your future going forward. And the great thing about him is he can play in probably 4 different positions to a really, really high level. The way he's come back from an ACL injury, which they always say takes as long, the period you're out for, it takes as long to get back to full fitness. Florian Wirtz was back at world-class level from the day he was back. It was crazy. And I remember Xabi Alonso saying, when he took over, Florian Wirtz was injured and Leverkusen were really struggling down towards the bottom of the table. And apparently in his interview, Simon Rolfers, the sporting director, said, just wait till Florian Wirtz is back. And they then qualified for the Europa League that year. And the rest is history in terms of what they did since. He is, I think, the most exciting signing in the Premier League since Erling Haaland arrived. For me, it's going to be season defining either way because people are going to talk about him all season long. And I cannot wait to watch him. He is arguably my favourite player in the entirety of Europe.
Wow. I was thinking, I mean, it is season defining. Let's not mess about. The thing I thought yesterday, I thought you literally bought a Premier League great. He's not played a Premier League game yet. But I know, don't you? You just know he's going to be a Premier League great because we've seen it already and he's 22. So he's going to be there for a long, long time. I'm fascinated to see how big of that's the question. How big of an impact can he have this season? That's the thing I wonder with so much change, but he is a guarantee of quality. And so it's going to be season defining. I guess the thing is are you build the team around him because if you're getting the best out of him, you're going to be up there.
And the great thing about his signing was it was done in early June. So he's had the entirety of pre-season. But the one downside is that Alexander Isak, if you want to even call it an issue, that doesn't feel like the right word. But the saga is rolling on.
Yeah.
It might be done in a week's time. It might be done in a few days' time. It might not ever happen whatsoever. But again, you're putting a player that will be built around for the next few years in relatively late in this window. So it might take a few weeks for them to start clicking. But the idea of it on paper is absolutely mouth-watering.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you still build around Wirtz because Isak will be a beneficiary of that. So, get out of your own way a little bit. Man City, Tijani Reinders, 46.5 million. Here's a ripple for you. The addition of Reinders could see Rodri to Madrid become a reality. I didn't even know that was a thing. Rodri has been linked to Real Madrid loosely in the past week for a fee of around 100 million. Vinicius Jr. and Rodri, that would be awkward. And after missing the entirety of last season, City came to grips towards the back end of the season without playing him. At 29, would it be worth City cashing in and refreshing their midfield and going for Reinders and Gonzalez?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not for me. I think Rodri...
Is he 29? I didn't realise.
Yeah. I also don't see Real Madrid offering that kind of money. It does feel like paper talk. You know,
I agree.
When they've got Tchouaméni, when they've got Camavinga, they don't really need... I mean, obviously everyone needs Rodri, but the biggest difference maker would be getting that attack to gel next year because with Huijsen and Trent, that covers their injury issues from last year. I think Kroos's, passing will eventually kind of fall to a different player, whether it's Arda Güler or someone like that, or the kind of Modric-esque sort of probing will go to Güler. So I wouldn't go for Rodri. In terms of Reinders, I think he'll be amazing in the Premier League. I think he stood out in Serie A for a number of years, looked like And I don't. People always criticise the pace of Serie A or the pace of the rest of Europe, and it really frustrates me.
Yeah, is that bollocks?
But I think it's exaggerated. I don't know if it's total bollocks because every new signing does say, "Wow, it's quick here."
Yeah.
But Reinders does look like he's got the athletic ability to instantly kind of sweep into the Premier League and be absolutely fine. In terms of Nico Gonzalez, I didn't think it was the best purchase at the time for City, but he'll be fine for the bench going forward. But you don't want to base your midfield off the next few years when you're trying to get back to your best, when you've come off a really terrible season by your own standards, off Reinders and Nico Gonzalez, when you've got Reinders and Rodri. I'm excited.
Yeah, Rangers will be fantastic. Like you could see it really quickly. I thought what was really telling as well was when Rodri came on, Rangers went up and went as turned into one of those eights, and that shows just the. Yeah, I nearly when you were chatting there, I was thinking I nearly wanted to compare him to Bernardo Silva, but he's not, because he can ish be the six. I do think there are question marks over Man City in transition, going back to my thoughts on, the three aspects of the game. But I think there will be like 85-90% of games he will just be lovely and dominant and elegant and drive with the ball, and the whole Man City team will just dominate games because he's a proper Pep player, I think. In terms of, I definitely like it. He's definitely good. Is it season defining, him coming through the door?
I think there'll be other factors. It'll be how does the attack gel around Cherki and Foden, and whether Rodri gets back to his best, and can Nouri be solid enough defensively. But in terms of the signing, I like it.
Agreed. Okay. Man United, Brian Mbeumo, £71 million. Is that right?
I think, yeah, maybe rising to that.
Rising to 71. 25 years old, 42 appearances for Brentford last season, scored 20 goals. 9 assists in all competitions. Man United clearly looking to recruit Premier League proven players this time round. The thing that is thrown at him a lot, he had the highest XG over performance in the Premier League last season, scored 20 goals from an XG of 12.3. Can't bloody win, can you? Some people would say that's like, if Harry Kane did that, you go, wow.
What a finisher.
Context matters. And so it's good that kind of people are touching on it a little bit. Thoughts on Brian Mbeumo?
I think there's almost more pressure on this one than Cunha, because it felt like the right-hand side of Man United's attack could have been Amad Diallo. It could have been. And maybe they used the Brian Mbeumo money to sign the striker that they're now chasing. And does that striker make a bigger difference than the difference between Amad Diallo and Brian Mbeumo? Quite possibly. Or maybe they use that money to sign a natural right wing-back. Now it feels like Amad Diallo might play there. Is that a good idea in the Premier League in 2025 to play Amad Diallo as a right wing-back? I'm not quite sure. Maybe that money could have been used to sign the sort of all-round midfielder that they need with a bit more physicality than a Nagate or a Mainu. Someone, a past 5 years ago, Casemiro, maybe. So I think there is pressure on this signing. But in terms of, on paper, Man United have signed two of the best Premier League attackers from last season that were achievable to sign. It's just left them quite tight in other areas, and they did need to strengthen in other areas. So again, it's one that I'd rather judge in a few weeks' time, but obviously that doesn't make sense for this video. So at the moment, I'm going good, but is he good for Man United? Correct.
The reason that's correct is because it's not even about Brian Mbeumo, really. We know he's good, but can he be good at Man United? Because it is it's a different lens. We've seen it so many times. Mason Mount's a good player. Anthony's a good player. And there's loads. Harry Maguire, we've seen be a great player for England. These are all good players, but good at Man United, it's a different beast. Mm-hmm. Because I think you have to be so durable mentally. That is my question to any signing, not just Brian Mbeumo. So I think he's good, but is he good enough for Man United? Which is too much to write in there. Good stuff. Anthony Elanga, 55 million. 23 years old, 43 appearances. I think if he's one where they've kept Isak and they've got this guy and they've got Trafford and they've got all these guys that they wanted, I think we're looking at this slightly differently. But him on his own, a bit like Madueke, where people are going, if they bring Eze as well and they bring all the other guys, everyone's quite sweet with it. But if it's just Madueke, then people are going, oh, that's not getting me excited enough. Is that a similar feeling here?
I always think that clubs are at their best when they've got different options, quite different stylistic options in their squad. And I said it a few years ago that I maybe thought Newcastle could do with a bit more creativity in their midfield when that pure physicality and that pressing's not working. And it feels like they've gone down the same route with their right winger this year. Again, a bit like Arsenal and a striker. Right wing in Newcastle has been talked about for years now. And they've gone for Anthony Elanga, who I think had a brilliant season last year for Forest, playing in a primarily counter-attacking system. Is he a big stylistic difference, or a big enough stylistic difference from someone like Jacob Murphy to make the difference in Champions League games or change the way you want to play? I don't necessarily think so. And I would rather have seen this money be spent on someone like Takefusa Kubo from Real Sociedad, or even Johan Bakayoko, who is a left-footed right winger, both of them are, and they feel very different to an outside-to-in winger like a Jacob Murphy. And I don't have anything against Anthony Elanga or Jacob Murphy, but they just feel quite similar.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm slightly underwhelmed by the signing for Newcastle, even though I think he's a good player.
I get what you're saying. I said this earlier in the summer, and I'm not saying he's better than him right now, but in terms of like where you're trying to get to, and also the sort of dynamics maybe within the squad, Jacob Murphy had the best season he's ever had last season. So you kind of don't want to completely throw that away. I was putting forward the idea of what about someone like Tyler Dibling, who's got an incredibly high ceiling and is different. You could have had him and Jacob, if you could have got him, of course. Him and Jacob Murphy, allow Tyler Dibling to learn from someone like Jacob Murphy, who's clearly learnt himself because of how much he's developed. Whereas Anthony Elanga, I think he's a really, really, really good Premier League player. Is he the difference? Is his ceiling like crazy high that's going to get Newcastle where they're dreaming of? I'm not sure. Like, and I look forward to being proven wrong. You kind of, I don't want to sort of put a ceiling on anyone, but yeah, I think in a good window that's an okay signing. I think in a bad window, I think it's putting pressure on him a little bit that he doesn't need. And I agree with you on the profiles as well. So,
yeah, I maybe even would go not for me, but maybe that's my Sunderland side coming out. It's definitely or not for me.
Do you know what though? I'm not. He's a very solid player. He's a very solid attacker. So I think not for me. He's maybe a touch too much.
Let's hum it.
Let's hum it. Yeah, nice. Igor Jesus, who I watched quite a lot of.
Yeah, what did you make of him in the Club World Cup?
I like him. Like, he's a bit of a battering ram. Botafogo weren't fantastic in possession. Got a great win against PSG, which was crazy, and the way they won it was very Nottingham Forest. So I think this is a really good move. He's got a lot more pace than Chris Wood, and if he can kind of go there and learn from Chris Wood, I think he could be a real asset to them. Only 9 goals from 29 games. He's all right, but he's only cost 10 million. He's very physical. Your proper, your normal sort of, I guess, power forward that we're seeing more and more of. And so as a backup, I like him. And if you need to chuck him on, and if you're willing to put crosses in, that's what Botafogo like to do. They just put crosses in as much as they could, and then sort of flooded the box. Like if you want to bring him in to do that with Chris Wood, I think that's nice, and adds a little bit of depth. I think the question might be over the course of a Premier League season, and I don't know what's happened with Awoniyi. Is he still there? Is he gone?
I think he's still there, but he's coming off that horrendous injury.
Yeah, so you've kind of got 3 of those similar kind of guys. So you know how you're going to have your striker, but if you think of Espirito Santo, Raul Jimenez back at Wolves, that's how he plays anyway, so that's fine. But over the course of a Premier League season, if for some reason Awoniyi's on his way out and Chris Wood got injured and he's your guy, I don't know if he's good enough. So I would chuck him in. He's good, but is he good?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the signing that interests me more in many ways is Dan Ndoye, just because of the pressure of replacing Elanga. You've been linked with Malik Fofana. It doesn't look like that move's going to happen as well. And he's had a brilliant last 12 months, let's say. An amazing Euros last year with Switzerland, and then last year really took it on with Bologna and won the Coppa Italia, and him on the left and Orsolini on the right really worked really well. But there are some doubts about the fact that I think he's 24 and that was his first real big campaign.
Right.
The thing is, you're going from Bologna to Forest. That's quite a nice transition.
Yeah.
In terms of not too much pressure on you as well. I think most Forest fans would probably be delighted with the top 10 finish this year, having lost Alanga with all the stuff going on with Gibbs White as well, although he is now staying. So I think just more of the same from Forest.
Okay. Sunderland. Here we go. Feel free to speak as long as you want. Habib Diarra. Now, £30 million, 21 years old, made 33 appearances for Strasbourg last season, scoring 4 goals and providing 5 assists. Now, I won't give away my sources, but someone whose name sounds like Shmulian Shmaron said, I can't believe you've been able to get this guy.
It is exciting.
It's
Thanks,
super
Shmulian.
exciting, man.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of background is he's playing regularly for Strasbourg for the last 3 years. He was captaining the club. Strasbourg had, I think, the youngest starting 11 in the entirety of Europe, nearly got Champions League football last year. Habib Diarra was a crucial part of that. Very similar stylistically to Joe Bellingham the year before last. Joe actually played more withdrawn last year and was playing alongside Dan Neil. And we still haven't really signed like a destroyer type in the middle of the park. We've gone for more
Siddiqui, no?
Yeah, well, I think he's a bit more all-rounding as well.
Okay.
Jacques is obviously an amazing passer. So maybe we'll look to address that as well. But Habib Diarra, in terms of dribbling with the ball, the sort of pace he can bring you on transition, he looks really, really exciting, and has an eye for goal as well. I think he'll go under the radar, and I put him in my video last week of Wonder Kids to watch this season. I think he could be really, really exciting. We got him in early enough as well. He already seems like he's gelling really well. There's a big French contingent in our squad already. And Sunderland's business, it's impossible not to get pretty excited about as a Sunderland fan, because it was only a few years ago that we were in League One and not very good in League One. And then only the year before last, we finished 16th in the Championship. So to be signing this caliber of player and to be able to attract these players and just consistently get deals done for players that do seem like they are above our station right now, someone is selling them a very nice dream. And I'm on board with it.
Yeah. I'm really hoping that, the young owner has just got that gift of the gab. Just like QPR's our chief executive, I feel like he's got the same gift of the gab, and the players are going, sure, this sounds fresh. Like, I'm coming.
Yeah. There's
I'm
also
hoping
there's a
that
nice
works.
balance, because Speakman's been our sporting director for so long, and he's like an EFL expert. He's the guy that signed Joe Bellingham and players like that. And Dan Ballard and players that have really started to mature.
Yeah. But
But Gisolfi, who we signed from Roma, has also got experience in the French league, and it looks like our markets are like France, Belgium, and kind of offshoots of top clubs like Granit Xhaka. And to persuade Granit Xhaka, who was Leverkusen's second most used player last season, who's going to play in the Champions League this year, who Saudi Arabia also wanted, to swap family life in Germany, where his family wanted to stay, and go to Sunderland. I don't think a newly promoted side could have made a better signing this summer. And maybe that's just bars coming through, but I am genuinely so excited. Having said all that, the aim is still 17th. Let's just try and survive, because the gap is massive.
Habib Diarra, is he season defining?
Yeah.
Yeah?
He could be that level.
Yeah.
And it's either I like it or season defining, and we need him to be exceptional to survive.
Okay, fine, that works. Okay, next up, Mohamed Kudus, 54.5 million, 24 years old, 35 appearances, 5 goals, 4 assists last season for a beleaguered West Ham. They were so disappointing last year. I couldn't believe how lethargic they felt, aside from when he got on the ball or when Jared Bowen seemed to get on the ball. Have Tottenham taken advantage of Kudus having that poor season at West Ham last year by getting him at what feels like a decent price in comparison to the amount of money that was going to be being touted for him, especially after that first season? I guess he would have been 23 then. Like 54.5 million, does that feel like a bargain?
I think it feels about right, just because of how
this is a different
distracted
sport
he looked last
to the
year.
Championship,
I know,
just
it's
to be
crazy,
clear.
isn't it? But he was poor last year, I think, compared to his usual standards. But then West Ham, he just felt so disjointed from the start with Lopetegui, and everyone felt pretty frustrated with how quickly the season kind of fell apart, and Antonio's car crash and Fulkrug not being fit, and it was just a really horrible season from a West Ham perspective. But Kudus, given the fact he can play in a variety of different positions, and feels like someone that Frank could pop into a variety of different formations that he uses, he just feels like a really useful player to have. I actually had more question marks than most, I think, about whether you need to sign Morgan Gibbs-White, Kudus, when you've already got Maddison, when you've already got Kulusevski. it just felt like maybe too many options, but they do have a Champions League campaign.
Gibbs White's not happening now.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But it does feel like, Kudus, if I had the choice between Kudus and Gibbs White, given his versatility, I'd go with Kudus. And he can also rotate with Solanke up front if you really needed him to as well. He's such a clean striker of a ball. And that's before you even get into his dribbling, which is, when he's on form, amongst the best in Europe as well. So I think Tottenham look in a good place. I think morale-wise, I think Frank is the perfect appointment. And I do think he'll really... The mood around that club, he doesn't have to do a lot for him to be seen as pretty much like a messiah from the get-go. Win a few Champions League games. You're in upper mid-table in November, and people are just like suddenly really behind this new manager. I was surprised that so many Spurs fans were so against it, but I think that was just the Ange factor.
Frank,
having won the trophy.
I think that's snobbery as well. Where you kind of don't really understand just how good he's been for so long and what he's got out of that Brentford squad. I think he's perfect for Frank.
I agree.
And I think, look, if Tottenham are to do something special, then it will be kind of a season-defining one. I'm between those two. I don't mind putting it season-defining. I think it'll be obviously career-defining for him. He's 24 and it's a big move. But I think it will work. I think it will work really well.
There's a lot of players that kind of need to, because it feels like Son might move on now as well.
Yeah.
So we need to see more from Odegaard. We need to see more from Richarlison. We need to see more from Tell. But if these players all step up and come out of Son's shadow, and Son didn't play well last year, that's not what I'm saying whatsoever, but in terms of your prestige and standing within a club, they need the next generation to really grab it. Even Kulusevski, I think, has shown in glimpses in the biggest games
Totally agree.
that he is one of the best players in the Premier League on his day, but it doesn't come around enough.
But, he needs
the right pieces.
Quality around him, because he's not outrageously quick, so you can't totally do it on his own, and I think it's hard to do it anyway. I'm going to go season defining. I think it could be big. I think he could be really big. Where are we going? El Hadj Malik Diouf, 20 years old, 41 appearances last season for Slavia Prague, scored 7 goals, got 4 assists and loads of minutes, 3,000 of them. More of a wing-back profile, which feels like that's what they're going to continue to do under Graham Potter. 19 million. Thoughts? Emotions?
I mean, I haven't seen a lot of him, to be totally honest, as well. I mean, you've got to see a serious upturn in form under Potter this year. I think it went under the radar and he almost went criticism-free at points. I thought they were really terrible, to be honest.
Agreed.
And
There's
quite
no upturn,
unwatchable.
really.
Yeah, and I think a squad with at least that foundation that they've got in Mavropanos and Todibo and Kilman at the back, that feels like a really strong set of centre-backs for a club of their stature. And I want West Ham to take a step forward this year. There's no excuses. I think Lucas Paqueta, again, we talk about Kudus' downturn, really wasn't at it last year whatsoever. Jarrod Bowen's there until he dies by the looks of thing as well. And let's just, seriously, top half has to be an aim. But at the moment, I'm quite concerned about them, given the way clubs are strengthening above them. And the fact that United and Spurs just won't be as bad this year. Yeah,
and I'm fascinated to see, if you're making it about the wing-backs a little bit, you've got him on one side, you've got Wan-Bissaka on the other side, who was fantastic last season, but can he do that again? Or was that, just a real refresher for him, like in terms of getting away from Man United? And also, sometimes players look good when the team's doing bad. I was one of those. So that makes me kind of slightly nervous. I think he's good, but is he good for me?
I think good, but is he good?
Yeah, I agree.
I feel harsh because I just haven't seen that much of him.
Yeah, and from what I saw of him, I enjoyed watching him. And scored a couple of screamers as well, so he does have an eye for goal. But and he's 20, he's young, so I think there's an opportunity there. And last up, Wolves, Fer Lopez, 19 million, 21 years old, made 37 appearances for Celta Vigo last campaign, 8 goals, 3 assists. He's your proper, he's a proper 10. The highlights all look good. I think this is one of those ones where, forgive me, people, but I haven't watched hours and hours of Fer Lopez, and I'm sort of suspicious of the clips because the clips look good. Is the consistency and the efficiency there for him to kind of come in? Because I think the fear is that he's got to come in and replace us in some way Mateus Cunha. That said, Wolves played more as a team in the second half of the season. So that might kind of take a bit of the pressure off him. But I think it's a big jump for him.
Yeah. I like parts of where Wolves are at. I think Strand Larsen actually had a really underrated year last year.
Massively.
I think he was really, really good.
Yeah.
And he's signed permanently. I really like the midfield base they've got with Andre and João Gomez as well. Ait-Nouri is also a big loss in the final third as well, because he was such like the kind of third man runner so often, and he'd really pick up great positions. He was almost better as a 10 than he was as a left wing back at times. He was just so free at points. Fer Lopez, from what I've seen of him as well, looks really, really bright. It's just a big ask. I wonder whether Wolves can make more interesting loans from La Liga in the next few weeks. Like someone like Brahim Diaz, is he going to get much game time at Real Madrid?
Could he get at Wolves?
Imagine.
Wow.
Like,
I mean, I'd love to see
you're
that.
advertising, you know, you're getting regular Premier League football. You're basing a team around him, or someone like Fermin Lopez at Barcelona as well. Like, are these players going to get that much game time at these top clubs? And I do think the likes of Everton, Palace, Wolves can look at these top clubs and think, we can offer something quite attractive for a season. Get your career back on track. You know, there's no obligation to join us permanently, but if you enjoy it, you know, you're playing Premier League football weekend when you're out.
Yeah. I think it's, like I say, I think he's a very technical player, looks neat. Like, he's good, but is he good at best for me? Like, I think that's it with these Wolves players. When they kind of come in, sometimes you're waiting to see, can they actually hit the ground running in the Premier League? So time will tell. Yeah. I don't know about Wolves. I need to sort of dive into it a little bit more.
So you're going,
I'm clicking close to I'm going,
Yeah.
I've gone,
It's a
Is that
solid
okay? Wolves fans, please talk to me in the comments. I'm fascinated to know how you feel about Fer Lopez, how you feel about the team this year, because you did finish the season well last season. And there you go. Every team's most expensive transfer. Come on, Fulham. Pull your finger out. Get your wallet out.
Get in the mixer.
Doogie, thank you so much. What's crucial to say is that you have a YouTube channel now.
I do. I've gone my own
Banging
way.
views. Have you not watched any of the videos yet? Everyone else has.
Yeah, please go check it out. Doogie Critchley, just simply my name. Really enjoyed it. Should have a third video out by the time you watch this. Yeah, really enjoyed it so far.
Amazing.
Flying the nest.
People exploding everywhere. Okay, and if you want to know those of whom are about to, so you can get yourself safe and secure, then go and subscribe to Doogie's channel. We're gonna have a look at every team's attack in just a second, so make sure you are following this podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks so much. Apologies for the break, but we're back now. We go again.